Hello and welcome to Dan Talks United. Yes, we're back again. Back in the Premier League. It's the only competition that we're in. It's Manchester United versus Crystal Palace. This is the preview, but I just want to go through a few things before we get to stuff like the prediction, score prediction, and actually we're going to start with like a bit of a recap on Everton. Let's talk about the presser, Michael Carrick's press conference. Let's talk a little bit about Le Mans as well. Let's big Le Mans up. Come on, we've got a really good keeper here. Obviously, I've always said that I've got reservations, but we'll get into that. And then obviously we'll get on to United versus Palace, and we'll look at past results, what the predicted lineups might look like, and then the big one, the prediction, the score prediction. So let's get going then. So really quick recap on that Everton game. I think we all know it wasn't the best game in the world. We ended up winning 1-0 and a fantastic finish from Sesko. Obviously there's arguments to say whether he should start against Palace. There was arguments to say should he have started against Everton, but Carrick stuck to his guns, went with a very similar team, or the same team pretty much, apart from Martinez that was injured, and he put Sesko on the bench. Comes off the bench, super sub, fantastic strike. But anyway, it was a really good pass out from Cunha, who I did say probably should sub him and keep Ahmad on, but obviously I was wrong. Cunha, fantastic switch, up to Mbumo, passes it in to Sesko, who had a lot of time to think about that finish, but slots it in nicely. So anyway, let's have a quick sort of chat about the presser. So obviously, normally on a Friday, Carrick is in the press conference. Not a lot to sort of report from it. Talked about injuries and a bit of updates on the injuries. So he keeps saying that Mount's close to return. He's on the grass now, training. Is he a big miss for us in this system? Who knows? But we need as many players fit for this run-in. And he is a decent player, so it's welcome Mount back when he does come back. Dorgu, I don't think he mentioned Dorgu, so I don't know how far off he is on return. And then De Ligt, it seemed like a bit of a mystery sort of injury with De Ligt, but he has mentioned that it's a back injury. Seems to be some sort of complexity around it. Don't really know when he's coming back. But for me, he is a big miss, especially where some of our key players in that defence, not injury prone is probably the wrong word, but Martinez is out. I'm not sure how long he's going to be before he's back. Maguire's had a few injuries recently, so we could really do with having another key defender ready to go. Obviously, Yoro's played well. We have got Heaven, but De Ligt has been massive for us before Carrick came in. And then lastly, there was a lot of questions around Maguire. Journalists asking if Carrick's going to have any influence on Maguire signing a new contract, if it comes to that. He didn't really bite on it, but he just sort of said that it'll be really important for us to think about keeping some players that have got that relative experience. Obviously, we're going to lose Casemiro. Do we want to lose Maguire as well? Obviously, that's up for debate. Put your comments in below as well. What do you think? Would you keep Maguire? I think I've been leaning towards that, but not at the expense of not getting a decent player coming through the door, though. And obviously, it's about wages, it's about contract length, it's about how much that's going to cost and whether that's going to impact our transfer budget in the summer. Obviously, there's a lot hinging on what happens in regards to whether we get European football, and obviously we're going to get more money that way, but all to be seen as we get closer to that May date. So let's just quickly go on to Le Mans. Sorry, just on the wrong screen there. There we are, Le Mans. So, again, I've got to reiterate just about how good Le Mans played against Everton. Very, very difficult circumstances. Again, Arsenal get the blame for this type of tactic at corners, but I don't think Arsenal have been as bad as this. And this is quite shocking, the amount of players that are around him. Obviously, it looks even worse because we've got to have some of our players there to try and protect him. But he did so well. You can see there, that's one of the times where he's clawed the ball out or punched the ball out. And that must have happened at least 10, 11, 12 times in that game. And he came out on top every time. It was interesting, though, to hear him say that's one of his strengths, doing sort of being big, being tall, being strong at corners and being able to catch or punch. and to say that he seems to quite enjoy it, so fair play. Definitely we've been crying out for this, and if we didn't have this, we could have this. Yes, Onana. Just when you think you've got rid of him, and you forget he's on loan, and you also forget that they don't want him in Turkey. And obviously this is a picture, famous picture, when he's been in the back of the net for us, which he pretty much did almost every week. But he's been making mistakes over in Turkey. He's been shit over there as well. So you can say that there's a lot of pressure, a lot of eyes on him at Manchester United, so it must be quite difficult to be a goalkeeper at Manchester United, which it is, because you've seen how long it's taken us to replace, and I've said it before, replace Schmeichel, replace Van der Sar, replace De Gea. But what's the excuse for being just as shit in Turkey? Now, this guy's like a nightmare, and we need to get rid of this guy. But he's saying stuff like he'd like to come back and fight for his place. I hope that's not true, but Jamie Jackson, quite credible journalist, is sort of alluding to that fact. But I'm hoping we stand firm and we find somebody else, some other mug to take this guy. Even if we lose money, we can't have him coming back. I appreciate he wouldn't start if he came back, but can you imagine if there was like a slight niggle or you got injured, Le Mans, you'd be back to this shit. No, thank you. So I'd prefer to bring one of the youth sort of goalkeepers that have gone out on loan, or one of the keepers that we might have sold, but we've got some sort of clause to bring him back, like a Vitek. I'm not sure what the situation is there, whether we've sold him but we can bring him back, or whether he's on loan. But I'd way more prefer to have something like that, or just to scour the market for a sort of number 2, but I don't want this guy to, I don't even want him to clean the toilets. No way he'd be dropping the toilet brush. We don't want this guy back at Old Trafford, at Carrington. He can come and collect his stuff if he's left anything. In fact, we'll mail it to him. Please, Onana, don't come back. Anyway, getting back to the preview, does sound like I'm being a bit harsh on Onana, or am I? No, I don't think I am. So anyway, as we're saying, we are playing against Palace. What I like to do, which I've already shown you a screen for it, a bit of a preview, is to have a look at the previous results for both sides. Let's have a quick look at the predicted lineup, see what we think, see if we'd go with the same team or something slightly different. And then it'll be the big one, the score prediction. So let's have a quick look then in regards to the previous 5 results for both teams. So we're playing at home, so we're on the left, and Crystal Palace are on the right. As you can see, there's quite a bit of green, so it looks like there's some positive results for both sides here. So on the left-hand side, obviously, never get bored of saying we beat Arsenal 3-2. Then we beat Fulham. Then we beat Spursy. We've got a new manager since then as well. Because Thomas the Frank engine, no more. We've drawn with West Ham 1-1. And then in that last game, we beat Everton 1-0 at the Hill Dickinson Stadium. On the right-hand side there is Crystal Palace. So they beat Brighton. They've lost against Burnley. They drew in Europe. I'm not even going to try and pronounce that name of that team. Shrinsky or something. And then they beat Wolves. And then they've beat that team in Europe 2-0. I did see the back end of that game. They looked okay. But obviously I'm hoping for a bit of a European hangover, because I think they sort of had one the last time we played them at their place and we ended up beating them. They sort of ran out of a bit of gas, really. So hopefully they're impacted by Europe again, because they don't seem to get a decent result after playing in Europe. They only played Thursday, so quick turnaround for them. Not always easy for the lower sides to try and juggle between the Premier League and Europe, so we'll see. So we need to take advantage of that, I think. So we'll actually have a quick look in terms of players that are out. So obviously for us on the left-hand side there, we've got Martinez out. It's saying mid-March there. We've got Delict, which is saying sort of mid-April. And it's saying Mason Mount there, that's mid-March as well. And Dorgu, which is mid-April. On their side, they've got Nketiah. I'm not really bothered about him. Wouldn't really be an issue to us, I don't think. Mateta is an interesting one. I didn't realise he was injured, so if that's true, that's mid-March. Lerma, I haven't really seen him play for him this season, to be fair. And Decore there as well. So let's just have a quick look at the predicted lineups then, really quickly. To be fair, it's been quite consistent, and I think getting sort of indications from Carrick in that press conference that he probably will edge to going with the same team again. He had a couple of journeys that were sort of backing that theory, and he didn't seem to sort of deter from that. Not that he's going to tell us anything in the presser, and obviously not going to give anything away before Sunday, but the vibe felt like he'd probably go with the same team. So Lamon's in net, no argument there. Dalot at right back, I think that's probably going to be possible. Yoro probably comes in again to replace Martinez because he's not back yet. Maguire on that left-hand side because that's the way he played against Everton. And then Shaw at left back. So I can see all of that happening, to be fair. Casemiro and Meno in the centre. I don't see a reason to change that. There was questions in the presser about Ugarte and trying to get a comment out of Carrick on what he thought about Ugarte. I was sensing that he don't really fancy him. He didn't say that, but he didn't really fancy him. It's one of those where, yeah, he's working really hard to get into the team. Very similar to what Amarin was saying about Meno, to be fair. It's like, he's not really going to play. And then Ahmad back in there. Bruno, number 10. Cunha over that other side. And Mbeumo up top. So, if I'm honest, I think I was wrong last time. I sort of talked about not saying I'm wrong to bring Sesko in, but I was wrong in the sense that he didn't start him. I felt that he should have started him. But after seeing us play, I know we went great against Everton, but it worked out in the end. I don't know how far we can go with this sort of Sesko comes on as almost like a super sub and how far that goes. And to be honest, do we start actually playing with a number 9? Debatable. Again, I'd probably say, just to switch things up a little bit, is that I'd actually put Sesko in from the start, and I will bow down to what other people have said in regards to Cunha starting, because to be fair, I appreciate he could have done that as a sub, but he stayed on the pitch and he dug out a fantastic switch over to Mbeumo, as I said earlier, and leads to the goal. So I'd probably put Cunha at left there where he is there, and Mbeumo on the right where Ahmad is, because Ahmad hasn't particularly played that well in the recent games, and then put Sesko up top. And to be fair, I think Ahmad probably could make a bit of a difference if he came on as a sub, to be honest, anyway. So that's probably what I'd go with, but please put your comments in and tell me where you'd go with this. Then really quickly on the right-hand side, we've got Crystal Palace and what we think they might set up like. So obviously they've brought Strand Larsen in recently. He'll be up top, potentially. Fast track to the goalkeeper. Henderson, he's going to start into. You've got Richards there and Reed. You've got Mitchell, sort of that wing back. Pretty decent, to be fair. Hughes and Wharton in the middle. I don't know if they always start together. I'm not sure how that works, but good, decent players there. Pino, and then you've got Sarr. I know he's caused us problems way back when. I think when he's played for Watford at the time. Decent player. So it's one to watch anyway. So anyway, that's the sort of predicted starting lineup. Can't really argue too much with Crystal Palace because I don't really know how they'll set up, but I think this is pretty close to what we're probably going to face against Palace. So obviously it's good that there's no Eze there because he could probably have caused us problems. He's at Arsenal. So they've lost a really good defender in Gay, who's gone to City. And so yes, we may have a better chance. And like I say, Palace haven't been great because Oliver Glasner obviously has announced that he's leaving at the end of the season, and they've kind of dipped since then. They've had a couple of good results, as you could see there earlier, but they've not quite been the same since he's announced that. And it almost feels like at times he's been trying to get sacked and get that sort of package deal so that he can walk out with millions of pounds in his back pocket. But Crystal Palace seem to be holding firm and saying, no, Glasner, you've got a contract, do your job, shut up and get on with it. Please don't do a good job against Manchester United, though. So that is just the like I say, going through the team there, what the predicted lineup might be. Again, as I was saying, if you think we should do something slightly different, please put it in the comments. If you agree that Sesko should start, please put it in the comments. But in any case, we should be really... Well, anyway, I won't go into the prediction just yet. So, it is the big one now. It is the score prediction. What are we going to go with then? So, obviously, a little bit knocked after the result against West Ham. Then we've obviously got our back to winning ways again against Everton, but wasn't convincing. But one thing I will say, to win away from home and to get a clean sheet is very positive. But because I didn't see... Because I wasn't enthralled by that 1-0 win, because we weren't particularly peppering their goal, we weren't particularly carving him open and creating loads of chances, it does knock me a little whether we can break down another team that I feel will be sort of a low block, because I think with Crystal Palace, they like to sort of hit teams on the break. They've had a lot of joy in the past when they've won the Cups recently against City, for example, where they let City have the ball and then hit them on the break. But all that considered, score prediction, I am going with 2-1. Yes, I'm going with 2-1. Going with a win. Sneaky feeling that they may just nick a goal, because as much as we've got a clean sheet in that last one, not always sure about us not conceding at times. But we are at home. We should get the win. The crowd behind us. United, United, United. Whether we can get a clean sheet, who knows? Happy to be wrong as always. If it comes to that, we get a clean sheet. All the better for us and our goal difference. But my score prediction is 2-1. Give me your score prediction. Put your comments in below. And as always, thanks for watching Dan Talks United. Please like, please share, please subscribe, that's really important. And I will see you on the next one, which will be live after Manchester United versus Crystal Palace on Sunday. See you later, people.